Welcome to Skinner and Chalmers' weekly roast. Today, Lump, Gump, and the principally speaking man, a Shatnerian Saga.
Good morning, Memfield, or should I say, good morrow, forsooth, gentle listeners of the Cosmic Podcast Voyage.
Oh no, you're doing the Shatner voice again, aren't you?
You and me, can a man not channel the raw, unfiltered passion of the bard through the quivering vocal cords of Captain James Tiberius Kirk?
I'll wound you with a restraining order if you keep knocking over my mugs. That's the third time this month you've spilled hot tea all over my geology flashcards because of theatrical arm flourishes.
The price of greatness. You simply cannot contain the transformed man within a mere podcast booth.
Well, you should try, because I'm still drying out my Audulite cross section binder from last week.
Ah, yes. The scene was Act 2, Scene 1. Is this a dagger which I see before Mifa? And I reached for the spectral handle and
yeeted your Yeti mech across the room like it was a cursed relic from Shakespeare's forgotten tech startup.
I regret nothing.
I regret everything, including letting Echo convince us to listen to the entirety of The Transformed Man on loop for 6 hours.
And I certainly don't regret that. Oh, and hello there, dear listeners. Echo is in the house.
In the house, in the house. Greetings, dear Echo. Nice to have you on board again.
Welcome. And yeah, come now. Admit it. There was magic in the madness. That album is the boldest act of artistic sabotage since you accidentally entered your pet rock, Captain Sedimentary, into a child's beauty pageant.
He deserved that crown. He was the only contestant with visible cleavage. Strata?
Exactly, much like Shatner's vocals, which possess so many layers. Let us discuss that opening track, shall we? King Henry V, paired with Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
That pairing made me feel like I had fallen asleep during Shakespeare in the Park and woken up in a lava lamp commercial.
And yet, it worked, didn't it? The shift from regal bad autocryl as fueled dreamscape. Shatner wasn't just performing. He was warping through genres like the Starship Enterprise through the nebula of your expectations.
He was warping something all right. Mostly my eardrums.
But Chalmers, what audacity! What divine madness! The man said. You know what Shakespeare needs? The Beatles. And you know what the Beatles need? Me. Shirt unbuttoned. Tie flapping in the cosmic wind. Eyes full of destiny.
Shirt unbuttoned. Is this about the album or your Halloween costume last year?
I was Shatner, Chalmers. That wasn't a costume. That was a transformation.
You are indeed known for transformation, Skinner.
Yes, he is. Well, the transformation mostly involved you knocking over our punch bowl while declaring Mr. Tambourine Man in iambic pentameter.
I regret nothing.
You keep saying that like it makes it true.
But that's the beauty of the album. Me, Seymour is in no doubt. He believed every word. He didn't sing. He proclaimed. He didn't cover songs. He commandeered them. He was not Seymour Skinner. He was an actor, a performer.
You mean like a musical pirate?
Precisely. Captain Kirk Bard of the Cosmos, sailing across genres, plundering melodies, hoisting the flag of interpretive passion.
I'll give him this. He had the commitment of a cult leader and the vocal range of an over-caffeinated audiobook narrator.
You can't deny his delivery of Mr. Tambourine Man was haunting, especially when he screamed to dance beneath the diamond sky, like someone had just told him Spock was dating his ex-wife.
Or like Bones just informed him that the last ration of space chili had fermented into sentience.
Oh, speaking of space chili, do you remember when we tried making the official Shatner chili recipe we found on that fan site?
Don't remind me. That recipe was 75% cumin and 25% confusion. I had heartburn for 3 days. I hallucinated a soliloquy from my fridge.
He too chill or not to chill? That is the question.
The answer was Pepto-Bismol.
That chili was transcendental, much like the album itself.
You're just saying that because you want to recreate the album cover in our living room again.
What? No, I don't even have the cape anymore.
You never had a cape. You stole my weighted blanket and taped a Starfleet badge to it.
Improvisation is the soul of art, Chalmers.
theft is the soul of Skinner.
A small price to pay for immersion. Now tell me, what was your favorite track pairing?
Honestly, the one where he did Hamlet's To Be or Not to Be, and then transitioned into It Was a Very Good Year.
That one is iconic. The way he drifts from existential dread into wistful nostalgia. It's like watching a man go from contemplating death to remembering prom night with Donna from engineering.
It's like a midlife crisis put to music. And it works. It shouldn't, but it does.
That's the whole thesis of the album. It shouldn't work, but it insists on being taken seriously. It dares you to laugh, then dares you to cry.
I actually almost did cry.
Really?
Yeah. During Spleen by Baudelaire. That wasn't even on the album. I was just reading it to myself to recover from. Lucy in the Sky.
Admit it, you respect him now.
I respect his nerve. The man released that while still starring on Star Trek. That's not just confidence. That's quantum delusion.
He was Kirk and Keats, captain and crusader of experimental audio.
I bet he didn't even ask for permission. He probably walked into the studio, pointed at the mic, and said, I'm going to cry my Beth at this microphone and then whisper about flying tangerines. Try and stop me.
And nobody could.
We should make our own tribute album, pairing our most iconic podcast moments with wildly inappropriate pop songs.
Mr. Jellybeans escapes the aquarium, backed with Running Up That Hill.
Huh? The Memfield Myrrell debate, intercooked with Wrecking Ball.
Oh my gosh, we didn't start the fire. Except it's just echo listing every pet we've adopted, released, or lost track of.
That would be 5 minutes of chaos. Gizmo, Krakatoa, Bark Ruffalo, Switterfang, Captain Sedimentary.
We didn't start the fire. It was always burning, 'cause we let the ferrets near the toaster again.
Honestly, we're halfway to Shatner already.
We just need Echo to do the spoken word interludes.
My name is Echo, and I'm here to talk about lizards.
I'd buy that vinyl. Twice.
I'd pirate it just to make it feel like a real 60s bootleg.
Speaking of real, do you think Shatner meant all that? Or was he in on the joke?
That's the real mystery, isn't it? Was it genius? Was it camp? Or was it an alien transmission he happened to pick up during a routine studio session?
Maybe all three. Maybe that's the point. Art doesn't have to be self-aware. Sometimes it just is.
Like when you tried to perform Bohemian Rhapsody during your colonoscopy prep.
That was a vocal warm-up, and I was under medical duress.
Still, the nurses gave you a standing ovation.
As they should.
All right, let's agree on this much. The Transformed Man is not a perfect album.
No, but
it is a memorable one.
a bold, beautiful mess. Like us.
Speak for yourself. I'm refined chaos at best.
And I'm the Shatner to your Nimoy.
I'll take it. Just don't reenact the album again unless we've secured the furniture.
Too late. I already reloaded the playlist.
Wait, you didn't?
Q, Hamlet's It was a very good year.
Skinner, put down the candlestick. Not again, you.
To be. O-R-N-I, to be.
That's my fish tank you're gesturing towards.
That is the question.
And that is the end of my sanity.
And the end of this segment. We just did the intro for this episode, but drifted apart just slightly, should I say.
Slightly fits. And hey guys, I'm also here.
Sorry, Echo, we just ranted a bit about music. So let's get to our next segment of today.
Oh yes, and there it is, folks. The sonic vortex, the shimmering nebula, the cosmic slinky slide of sound that is William Shatner's Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
I still can't believe that's real. I mean, his voice sounds like it's trying to parallel park into the melody and keeps scraping the curb.
And yet it works in the most inexplicable way. You get past the initial, what is this, phase, and suddenly, you're transported. He's not just covering the Beatles. He's commanding them, like a starship captain hijacking Abbey Road.
And that's not even the strangest part. That song, his take on Lucy, it made it onto his debut album Twilight Zone Grade Weird. It's become iconic. I mean, it lives rent-free in my head next to that dream I had where Mr. Rogers was a vampire.
Speaking of dreams and nightmares, shall I sing you a medley? gentleman.
Echo, please do, but keep the transporter running. We may not return.
Singing, dramatically. She packed my bags last night pre-flighter.
Oh, no, not Rocket Man, the holy grail of Shatnerdom. That performance is practically its own religion.
Happy. Still singing kind. And I'm gonna be high as a kite by then.
Wait, he did that one too? Shatner took on Bonnie Tyler.
He did, and somehow turned into a dramatic monologue about cosmic longing. It's like watching a Shakespearean actor yell into a karaoke machine.
A rocket man, a rocket man.
That one sounds like a confused GPS voice trying to guide a mech suit.
But let's give credit where it's due. There's something deeply entertaining about how committed he is. He doesn't wink. He means it. Every word, every pause, every overly intense eye twitch.
And you know what's wild? He's still doing it just last year, April 8th, 2024, during the total solar eclipse at Indiana University. Shatner performed a completely original spoken word piece.
Ooh, you're kidding. What was it called?
Welcoming the darkness. I kid you not. Picture this: totality has just blanketed the campus in shadow. A hush falls over the crowd, and out strides Shatner in a black trench coat, flanked by musicians from the Jacobs School of Music, violins, cellos, the works, delivering an apocalyptic soliloquy about night swallowing the sun.
Of this street. Okay, that actually sounds awesome.
I mean, it was weirdly moving. There were people in tears, someone fainted, and I swear a raccoon stood on its hind legs and saluted.
You made that last part up.
Did I? Chalmers.
His performances have become more than covers. They're rituals. Time capsules of 70s weirdness that somehow got cryogenically frozen and thawed out in time for tick-tock.
You know, it's funny. For all the parodies, the memes, the mocking, Shatner's covers persist. They've become emblematic of a time when artists weren't afraid to be totally bizarre.
They were brave. Unhinged maybe, but brave. And let's face it, without Shatner's Rocket Man, would we ever have dared to dream of Jeff Goldblum doing jazz piano?
That's the cultural lineage. Shatner walked so Goldblum could saunter.
And in the shadows of that total eclipse, a legend whispered, "Darkness welcome, old friend."
Echo, give me chills and existential dread.
All right, I vote we cue up the next track in the Shatner canon. What's it gonna be? Hamlet, Nirvana, Gregorian chants featuring kazoo.
You joke, but I swear I heard a bootleg of him doing Smells Like Teen Spirit.
No.
I can confirm it exists, and it smells like performance art.
Stay tuned, folks. We're just getting started. The Shatner Sparrow goes deep.
And weird and loud and a little bit sexy, but in a confusing way.
Unwhispering, dramatically, and the stars blinked and whispered back, "Shatner."
Ah, yeah, all right. Another topic. We've navigated the Shatner Nebula, barely survived totality, and now it's time to wade into the swamp.
And not just any swamp, Samer. We're talking about the boggy birthplace of one of the most delightfully strange songs of the 90s. Lump, by the presidents of the United States of America.
Wait, that song. The one with the woman just vibing in a swamp while piranhas swim past, all confused.
Yes, that's the one. Released in August 1995 by Columbia Records, just when alternative rock was still drunk on flannel and irony.
And here's the kicker. Composer Chris Balu Lump Up was actually a strange fusion of his own medical history and a vision.
A vision? Like prophetic or acid trip?
Both, possibly. He once had a benign tumor in his head, which, explains the lump metaphor. But then he had this waking image of a woman sitting alone in a swamp.
As one does.
And what does any self-respecting musician do with that kind of material? Combine it with Buzzcocks-inspired guitar riffs and unleash it as grunge pop, punk, alt-rock, post-grunge.
That's an actual genre now. I think Spotify has a playlist for Tumor Swamp Core.
Honestly, the music is kind of a banger. Balu said he was just trying to write a Buzzcock song. You can hear it in the jagged rhythm and that jangly chaos of guitars.
But what really sells it is those lyrics, pure dadaist poetry. Just listen to this. Echo, would you?
Of course, Skinner. Lump sat alone in a boggy marsh, totally motionless except for her heart. Mud flowed up into Lump's pajamas. She totally confused all the passing Pyron has.
Still gives me chills. Or maybe that's just leftover fire extinguisher residue, which brings us to the infamous night.
Wait, what night?
Oh, Echo, you're gonna love this. So it's 2005. Chalmers and I are in the kitchen. I'm attempting to cook dinner.
By cook, he means setting the oven to magma and ignoring it for 45 minutes, finance while you tried to reenact the lump bass line on a dustbuster.
I was experimenting. Anyway, the smoke alarm starts going off, right? Total chaos. I'm yelling about steamed hams. He's screaming for the fire extinguisher.
Oh my god.
And then, as if summoned by the flames themselves, the radio, instead of broadcasting the emergency signal, starts playing this.
Oh, wait, I have it right here. On cassette. I recorded the whole thing out of pure disbelief. You ready?
Yes. Feed it directly into my neural core.
Chasette PLAU by T10 clicks. Tape wears. Suddenly, over static and distant fire alarm wails, we hear Shatner, on tape, saying Lil UMP sat ALNE in a Bowie GY marsh. Skinner in the background of the recording, frantic. It's not smoke. It's steam. Steam from the steamed clams we're having. Mum! Steamed clams. Chalmers in the background of the recording. Hua. Closing the door. Seymour Skinner in the background of the recording. Frantic. Well, Superintendent, I hope you're ready for mouth-watering hamburgers. Chalmers in the background of the recording. I thought we're having steamed clams. Shatner, on tape, saying she, Tatiel Wedov confused the Paren has.
No, that's real.
Her size deep lie I've never seen that oven again is just disappeared, like it was a shame.
Honestly, though, Shatner's delivery gave that moment a sort of operatic finality. Like we weren't just losing a lasagna, we were bearing witness to the tragic fall of civilization.
The radio never did explain it. 1 minute it's NPR, the next it's the Shatner Swamp remix.
That cassette needs to be in a museum or launched into space.
It's protected, triple layered in a sock drawer next to my Pogs in a VHS of the 1994 Rose Parade.
Lump may have reached #1 on the Billboard Modern Rock Tracks chart, but on that night, it reached #1 in hell.
Honestly, I'd rather face a haunted swamp lump than relive a smoke alarm panic. Attack scored by Kentucky.
And yet, I'd do it all again. For the art.
Scene 4 better not involve fire, Skinner.
No promises, but I can say there will be sandwiches. Possibly haunted ones.
I'm calling the fire marshal now.
So, we've survived the swamp, the fire, the Shatner barely. But it turns out we weren't the only ones amused by Lump's boggy brilliance.
Oh, no. This song's weirdness practically begged to be parodied. Enter the undisputed king of pop culture spoofery, Weird Al Yankovic.
Yes, Gump! Released in '96 as part of his album Bad Hair Day. It's this hilariously literal retelling of Forrest Gump to the exact melody of Lump.
Like, the whole life story, the shrimping, the running, the chocolate welts, all compressed into 2.5 minutes of Yankovic genius.
And let's not forget that final line. That's all I have to say about that.
Which, get this, the presidents of the United States of America actually started using at the end of their own live versions of Lump.
No way. Did they just accept Weird Al as canon?
Basically, it's the musical equivalent of you win the internet. They knew when to bow to a higher parody power.
And they did it with grace, unlike some celebrity musical projects that have, shall we say, aged like an open jar of mayonnaise in a boggy marsh.
You mean Shatner again?
I do. And look, I love the man, but we've got to talk about the Golden Throats series.
Yes. Courtesy of Rhino Records. A compilation series of the worst celebrity singing ever committed to vinyl.
It's basically the Museum of Vocal Crimes. You've got Shatner, of course, but also Leonard Nimoy singing, Truck Worry, and trying to croon through. Try a little tenderness, like he's reading a parking violation.
But Shatner's stuff is in a league of its own. His version of Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds is like watching a Shakespearean actor wrestle a kaleidoscope.
And lose.
What kills me is that Shatner wasn't even trying to be funny. That's what makes it so golden. It's just pure, unfiltered Shatner.
And people loved it. Satirists, musicians, comedians, they all jumped in. Which brings us to Brian Posen.
Oh yes, the big meta-head comedian. What did he do?
In 2020, he released a comedy metal album, Grandpa Metal, and one of the skits on it is called My Phone Call with Weird Al.
No, I haven't heard that.
It's this ridiculous bit where Posen calls Weird Al and asks him to collaborate, but keeps pitching increasingly dumb parody ideas, including Gump sequels and a version of Lump, about a sentient pile of laundry.
I'd actually listen to Dump.
Or Clump, about a sentient hairball trying to find love in a drainpipe.
Honestly, that's still better than half the chart toppers in 2020.
It's wild how a goofy little alt rock song inspired a parody that then circled back and became canon in live shows and sparked comedic skits 25 years later.
It's like a feedback loop of absurdity. Begat Gump, Gump, begat a laundry monster. And now here we are, talk it, in about a podcast episode that started with Shatner screaming into the void.
Full circle, from swamp to satire.
And that, dear listeners, is all we have to say about that.
Unless we get sued by Weird Al, then we'll definitely have more to say.
Coming up next to Scene 5, things get spicy, literally.
Oh no, not the chili again.
Didn't someone say canned goods?
Strap in, folks. We're heading into the abyss.
More like into the end of this podcast episode.
On point, Chalmers, on point!
And that brings us to the end of today's musical odyssey, from swamps and satire to Shatner and spoofs. But before we go, final confessions.
Oh, absolutely. You guys ever use music to, like, totally derail a situation on purpose?
Oh, constantly. I once brought a ukulele to a zoning board hearing.
Well, I once used Shatner's Rocket Man as my entrance music for a recon mission. Yes, that version. The one with the triple Shatner echo. Rocket Man burning out his fuse.
Echo? Why would you do that?
Peace sigh. Ops, baby, you try sneaking into a facility while that's blaring over the loudspeakers. It confused everyone. My team thought it was a prank. The guards thought it was a trap. One guy just sat down and stared at the floor like he was having a crisis.
Shatner as a tactical weapon. I knew he had military applications.
Well, since we're sharing, I keep a private playlist of dramatic spoken word covers, strictly for rock collecting trips.
You mean like the Ballad of Bilbo Baggins?
Oh no, worse. Tom Waits reciting the Hokey Pokey, a German version of Barbie Girl Read Like Kafka, and a track I will only describe as Christopher Walken vs. Simon and Garfunkel.
You absolute maniac.
This is incredible. And it's time I confessed something too. Gentlefolk, I've been working on a spoken word album of my own.
Oh no.
Oh no.
It's called The Principally Speaking Man.
Please tell me it's just you reading school announcements to ambient well sounds.
No, Chalmers. It's art. It's revolution. It's me, Skinner, reinterpreting the hits of our youth starting with
He clears his throat.
Movin' to the country, gonna eat a lot of peaches. Peaches come from a can. They were put there by a man in a factory.
He sudden loud beep, beep, beep of a smoke alarm blaring.
What the?
Is something on fire?
Oh no, my musical dinner. I left the synth lasagna in the oven.
What is synth? Lasagna!
It's like regular lasagna but with mighty triggers and a smoke noka at 375 degrees.
And that wraps up this week's episode of Skinner and Chalmers Weekly Roast. Join us next time when we investigate the rise of haunted tuba solos in public transportation.
Air yelling from background. Does this happen every episode?
Off. Me yelling it's not burnt. It's just an aurora borealis in the kitchen. It's part of the experience.
Good night, folks. Don't forget to check your ovens.
Sound of sizzling, a fire extinguisher blast, and distant muttering about canned peaches. Audience gasp. End theme music fades in a slow, jazz rendition of Rocket Man, with triangle hits and distant meowing. Done, done, done.